Welcome, everybody. All right. Well, welcome to this presentation about the Spooky Scalar, the Spooky Scalar machine, and especially the biofeedback scan. So I will specialize on the biofeedback scan today. And well, as you can see, welcome to the future. For me personally, I think the scalar technology that's coming out more and more now is going to be the future of our medicine. But more to that later. So this is how I will do this talk about the Spooky2 Scalar. I will talk, first of all, a little bit about me, a little bit about my background, about how I got to where I am now. Quite an interesting story, actually. And then I will talk about my personal experiences with the Spooky2 machines, equipment, and also with the Spooky2 Scalar machine. And then I will try as good as I can to explain what scalar fields actually are and what scalar energy is and why it's so good for the body. And a short look over to the possibilities that we have with the Spooky2 Scalar machine, because it is quite unique. There's really cool features that are unique as of today. And then I'll talk obviously about the biofeedback scan. So that's going to be a bit more technical. So how to set up the hardware, what you need, and then how to set up the software. I think this part of setting up the software is probably the most complex one. So when you understand this, I'm pretty sure you understand the software of Spooky2 Scalar as, as far as to need it for just treatments. And then last, I will talk a little bit about the oneQclub. You will know what this is in a short time. So yeah, at the end, more to that. So introduction to myself, my personal background. I was born and grew up in Switzerland. And so my dad is a doctor, Swiss, and my mom is from Holland, but a physiotherapist. So I already had a certain medical background. And as of today, my older brother is an MD and my younger brother is a doctor of psychology. So I just got surrounded by doctors. And because my dad is a homeopath, so I already had a view into the more alternative version of medicine. So I always was more interested in alternative methods, so less chemicals, less vaccines, and probably because my dad just showed me that it's possible to help people with alternative ways. I personally, though, I remember I was on the, like my question was, do I go to the medical field too and become a doctor or a psychologist? And the third option was a teacher. And for some reason, I chose to be a teacher. So I studied music and mathematics and sport and became a teacher for secondary, like for teenagers, so 13 to 15. Very exciting, very interesting. And it keeps you active, that's for sure. I finished in 2014 and worked for like a year and a half. And I had a moment in my life where I was like, I felt this, like, if I keep doing this, I know I'm going to be working as a teacher for 30, 35 years, eventually have kids and all that, but be done with 65, 70. And I felt like that's not going to be fulfilling in a way. So I decided to take a step back and start traveling. And what was supposed to be a 1-year travel became a little bit more than a year. And eventually I never went back to teaching in Switzerland. So that was unexpected, but very, very cool. Because in 2017, after visiting 5 continents, I came to Central America, which was not on my list at all, but I had this this vision, this idea that I have to go there anyways. So I did. I booked a flight to Guatemala and stayed here for 6 weeks. And I thought it's just going to be another 6 weeks of travel. But after 4 weeks, I ran into this very interesting person who is a doctor and who has these like strange machines that seem to do something, but they're not chemical. They are with frequencies. And so I'm as a mathematician and a music teacher, I was like, oh, cool, frequencies. I know a little bit about that. So I got interested. And obviously I got more interested because it was, so frequencies somehow are supposed to heal people. So, or heal diseases, or help heal diseases, maybe I should say. So I got hooked immediately. And what was supposed to be 6 weeks turned into, well, what is it now? 4 years. Yeah. So still here, still working with those machines. I learned a lot on that in those 4 years. And after like 2 years, I remember one day, because so what we started to do is we would just take those machines, the Spooky2 machines, and go into villages and set up clinics for poor people. And it was all for free. So we would just work every day and set up the spooky machines and diagnose people and treat them with certain frequencies. And so it was many days, a lot of patients. And so after 2 years of doing this, I remember one day where we didn't have food because our work was just like helping. And so we wouldn't get paid. So eventually there was days where we didn't have a lot of food. And I remember one day where I didn't eat. And I was a little bit agitated, as people can be when they're hungry. And my friend told me, well, you know, there's still things you can be grateful or thankful for, because you have a bed over your head and a lot of people in this country don't. And angry as I was like, yeah, but I'm still hungry, but I get it. And eventually thought, it's true, I can be very thankful for that. And he said, well, we might as well call us the oneQclub. And I thought it was a brilliant idea. oneQclub basically means one quetzal. So we will be down to one quetzal, which is the local currency. And yeah, we will be like, you know, if we have one quetzal, we still keep going. So that's why we're calling ourselves the oneQclub. This is our little logo. And so yeah, we've been working with these machines for 4 years now with especially indigenous people. So our mission is actually to go out and set up free clinics to help people. There's about 25% of people here have diabetes, and there's a lot of other problems, but that's one of them. And so here you can see a typical clinic that was last year during the pandemic, where we have the diagnose, and then we have 2 people that get a treatment because we had 2 spooky machines. And we do have some magnet pulsers as well. And so we're just setting up these machines, and what eventually, like, so it would start with maybe 5-10 people, and then it would just grow and grow. And I think the day with the most people last year was about 60 people. And for 2 people to work, it's a lot of work. But we had a lot of people get better, get improved, especially from gastrointestinal problems, be it any infections with bacteria, diabetes, cancer. And just as an example, this is one person. She was 93 years old, and I just think it's an amazing story because so her family already bought the coffin because, as you can see, she didn't look very good. She had a pneumonia, and her blood pressure was 50 above 40, so it wasn't good. And so they thought she's going to die that night, and they called us over anyways. And so we went, and as you can see here, we put her on the sticky pads and run a diagnose, and it showed us something called Q fever, which is a bacterial infection from chicken and other animals. And they had chicken in their houses because that's how they live here. And so she got infected and had a pneumonia. And we took care of her. So we went there every day. And so this is after 10 days. She's back up, happy, laughing, and she still wants to go dance with me. That's what she said. Hasn't happened yet, but who knows? But anyways, so it's one of those stories that I'm very excited about because it actually showed that people really can recover with the help of frequencies. Okay, very quick. So my experience with the Spooky2 Scalar, I think we had the first machine in Guatemala. I'm not totally sure of that, but I'm pretty sure. We got a donation from a very kind person, so we could buy a Spooky2 Scalar machine. And I remember it got stuck in the customs here because normally you pay about 50% in fees for electronics. And so, but they didn't know what it was. And we didn't have the like $500 to pay. So we would just not say anything. And eventually they were like, you know what, just pay us $100. I don't know what this is, but we're tired, like we want to move this out. So we paid $100 for the taxes, and we got the first machine in Guatemala. And so my personal experience is I really, really enjoy sleeping in it. I remember the first night, it just felt like the sleep is profounder, more profound. And like getting up, it feels like I'm more energized. It's easier to get up and I feel more energized. And so I slept in it for a couple of months, didn't have any side effects. And then at the time I thought I didn't feel it anymore, but then I remember I had to move for a couple of days and I didn't sleep in the field, and the sleep was like so much worse. So I just got used to it, but it really helps with sleep. And then we had some success stories during the last year. So for example, we had a pancreas cancer patient. He was in I don't know what stage it was, but pretty serious. He went to a lot of doctors, and he came to us as like a last hope, like the last thing to try. He was pretty bad. He could barely walk. And we put him on the scalar machine. And what we did is we put some supplements on the plates and did some biofeedbacks, and then did some treatments with frequencies. And eventually, after 5 days, we did another scan, and it wouldn't show up anymore. So there wasn't any cancer marks. We said, well, the machine says that, but we're not sure. So we just keep going with the treatments. But after a month, we would go back to where he lives, and he would do a test in the local hospital, and he would do 2 biopsies, and it wouldn't show any cancer marks. So that was pretty cool. Another case was a friend from the States who had the COVID, and he was very ill, couldn't breathe. He felt like he can't breathe, and so he called us in emergency, and we didn't know really what to do. So we just put him on the phone, and we put the phone on the plate, and we would just talk to him for like 45 minutes. And on the other side, we put on vitamin C, vitamin D, other supplements, and just talk to him for like an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And did that the next day again, and he got better. So that's just a story. Another story with another friend from California, who himself is a healer, and he had on a sudden this stroke, and he wouldn't feel his left side anymore. So it was all like getting numb, the left leg and the left arm. And we just said like, well, the only thing we can do is put you on this machine. And so we did the same, phone on the plate and supplements on the other plate, and talked to him for 45 minutes. And the phone will get really, really hot though. So that is a side effect. But interestingly, he felt much better immediately. And so again, we did it twice, and he got better. So the stroke, he feels his left side again, and everything is good. He walks, everything good. Another friend of ours who lives here has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he came to us as well while we were at the beach doing the clinics, and he would travel all the way from the city to the beach just to get a treatment with the machines. And he got so excited, so he bought the whole equipment himself. He bought the scalar and the spooky machines and everything, and he's sleeping in it ever since, and he's excited. And his tumor that he had here is gone, but we haven't done any testing on like blood tests or anything if the cancer's totally disappeared. But so these are like just personal experiences. These are 2 of the patients. And this is another one that just recently happened. This is a grandma that lives here. She is 92, and she couldn't walk for 6 years. And her dream was to walk once in her life again. And so what we did is, as you can see here, I put her on another machine from Spooky2, the cold laser. But one second. Yeah. The cold laser, but we also put the scalar just around her bed, and put some remedies on there and melatonin to sleep better. And so after a week, 2, she felt a little bit better. And then it was about 3 weeks, on a sudden, she would like just get up and walk to the toilet. And, you know, you just get up and did 2, 3 steps and realized that she actually wasn't supposed to be able to walk. So she's like, oh, wait, I'm not supposed to walk. So she sat back down, but it was like this really, really amazing moment because like, yeah, she walked. So yeah, so these are our stories. By the way, if my English is not perfect, it's my 5th language that I learned. So I grew up in Switzerland. So it's Swiss German or Schweizerdeutsch, or in German from the school. So in school, we had to talk German. My mom is from Holland. So I also speak Dutch of Netherlands. And as I am born in Switzerland, we're multilingual. So we have to learn other languages. So I learned French and English and Spanish. So it's a lot of language, but anyways, I try my best in English. So yeah, now let me try to explain real quick what scalar energy actually is. You could probably think of it as like a fundamental force of nature. And it's basically not an electromagnetic force. So most of the energy, be it electricity, for example, is a electromagnetic waveform. So it has an axis and it goes like this, or that's how we think of it. It goes like a wave, so it has a certain time to get somewhere. There's time distance involved, so it takes time from one place to another place. With scalar energy, it's a bit different. It's more like an expanding field, or the wave will go like, if I hit here, I'll feel it instantly on the other side here, right? So that's how I think of it. It's non-Hertzian, non-linear, and it's not really a frequency. It's more like an expanding field of energy. And so every living being is in contact with the scalar field, and it's basically how our cells communicate with each other. So they communicate through the scalar field. And so over time, if that scalar field gets less and less, this shouldn't be here. Anyways, if the scalar field gets less and less, our cells don't communicate properly anymore. And that can cause a problem. So that's how illnesses can start. And so what happens with the scalar field, it basically just gives the cells the information to like start being perfect again, to work again properly, to communicate again with each other. So it harmonizes and improves the regulation and exchange of information between the cells in the human body. And what's also really cool, like there's been studies and they saw that actually the immune function of the cells or the body gets improved to about 149%. It also cleans the blood. It helps with anxiety, depression. And so it's just basically telling your body, hey, you know, work again. So it's helping your body to help itself. And I think that's just amazing. So yeah, I think we all should sleep in a scalar field. Obviously, you need to, you know, calculate some time for healing, because so there's effects like a Herxheimer effect, where you might get some side effects from toxins that are released because it might kill off pathogens when your cells start to work properly again, when the communication starts to work again. So it has, obviously we have to calculate that the body has to have the ability to heal itself, has to be able to get that information in, and then we have to give it time to heal. Let me just see real quick in the chat. Okay, these are questions, right? Yeah, so I'll do that later, but I guess you can all still hear me. So now to the exciting part, because Spooky2 Scalar is not just the scalar field, it's in its form very unique because we can combine it with other things. So there's like different options we have with this Spooky2 Scalar machine. So we can make a pure scalar field. So you just, you know, put the 2 units up and you tune them. and you created a scalar field. That's simple. This is then just a pure scalar field. So if you sleep in it, your cells will get information to communicate properly again, and so on. It will increase your health and your well-being. But what is really cool is it doesn't just have that effect. We can actually, you know, tweak that field a little bit and give it some information. And if we put in you know, information of, let's say, peppermint, or information of melatonin, or like essential oils, the benefits of, or the information, the beneficial information of that oil or remedy will go into the field. So you'll get the benefits. And the coolest thing is you'll only get the benefits. So they have done tests with cancer patients where they put in cancer cells and a chemotherapy into some device or something, and put that on the scalar field. And so the energy of, like, so the chemotherapy kills the cells, and that information goes into the scalar field. And so you don't get the negative effects of the chemotherapy, but it kills off the cancerous cells. And they seem to have had really, really good results with that. So, I mean, this is very new, and I think this is only just beginning what we could do with this. It's like very, 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 very promising to me, very interesting. But now the actual really cool part is that you can also plug in a Rife machine and add to the field frequencies, specific frequencies that we know can help with illnesses and pathogens. So as we know, Royal Rife discovered that certain frequencies can help with cancer. And so now if you add frequencies to the scalar field, you have the benefits of a scalar field, the scalar energy, and the benefits of Rife. And this also is like very new, but that's the actual exciting part, because this is a unique thing. Like, there's no other machine as of now, as like far as I know, that can do this. And something else we can do is structure water. So you can put water on one side of the plates, and then the information will go into the water, and the water will hold information. So we now know that water can store information. If you look at research from Luc Montagnier from France, for example, they could prove that you can send information and imprint it into the water just from an MP3 file. So yeah, pretty cool. And we can also make a biofeedback scan. This is what we're going to talk about. So you can put something into the scalar field and then scan the field and see to what frequencies it reacts. And then you get a biofeedback scan of whatever is in the field. And then obviously you can combine this. So you could put a remedy on the plate and run some frequencies and put water on it and drink the water. And so you get this whole combination of healing qualities and benefits you could do. So that's just, I think it's super cool. All right, so now to the actual part, the biofeedback scan. So what I will do is I'll just explain first like the hardware, the parts, and how to set that up. And I'll just do this with a video because I think it's easier and you can see it better. And then the software I will do manually on my computer. So a biofeedback scan is done by measuring the absorption of the scalar field at a given frequency of the body examined. In other words, whatever you put in to the scalar field, and then you run the frequency, so the normal biofeedback scan, at some point the scalar field will react, or the body will react, or whatever it's in the field will react to the frequencies. And so the machine just picks up what happens, like, so which frequency creates a reaction in the body. And so to prepare for that, you obviously want to be hydrated and calm. That's always good. Make sure you have some time, and make sure you don't really get distracted, or you tell people that you're going to do a scan, because they can take some time, depends on how you set it up. And then what's important is just make sure there's like basically no metal in the field. So in between and around the two scalar devices. Just make sure there's no, if possible, turn the Wi-Fi off. There's no plants in the field or around, no metal, if possible, no phone, stuff like that, because it will, you know, just the field will react to these things. So the purer the field, the better the scan will be. So yeah, how do we set this up? So obviously you need the Spooky2 Scalar devices. And so as you can see, I don't know if you already know this, but there's two boxes. One is called the transmitter box and one is called the receiver box. There's a cable that you link both to each other, and obviously you have to connect it to a power source. But so you can see they both have a plate where you can put things on. So if you see my mouse here, so here you can put certain remedies. And there's some knobs here, and here's some plugins. And you just want to make sure these two, the cases, they face each other. But we'll talk about that later. Here's the other parts for a biofeedback scan. You need a scalar digitizer. This is very important. Without that, you can't do it. You need obviously a power supply. You need a link cable to connect both the boxes, and you need two BNC cables to connect both generator of a generator X. So to do a biofeedback scan, you need a generator X, and you obviously need a USB cable to connect it to your computer, and a GX power supply to connect the generator to the power source. Important here, I will say that again, make sure, if possible, don't connect it to both the devices to the same power source. So if you can plug in the generator to one outlet and the scalar to another one, that will be good. All right. And okay, so now we go check out a video. I hope this works. So turn off the sound and I jump about here. So again, these are two devices. And here again is all the parts you need. I think there's a combo that you can buy that includes all these things. So you can have the benefits of running biofeedback scans with the scalar field. Okay, so as you can see, there is at the receiver, no, the transmitter box, you have an input that says link. So that's where you connect the link cable. But before you connect the link cable, if you want to do a biofeedback scan, you have to connect this little device, the scalar digitizer. This is just so you can connect the BNC port to the computer. And then on top of that, you connect the link cable and you connect that onto the other scalar box. That's the receiver. And then what you want to do is you plug in the power. So where this little plus sign is, that's the power to give it obviously some electricity. And then you connect the Spooky2. So as you can see, there is, if you don't know, there's like two generators. I got one here, so I'll show you this real quick. There is two generators and it needs two. So normally if you do a biofeedback scan, you only need one, but as you can see, there's generator 1 and generator 2. There's a little G2 and a G1. So you need this one if you want to do a biofeedback scan. And now you might want to take a little piece of paper and write this down, because there's a little thing that might be a bit confusing if you hear it the first time, but we'll go over this several times. So you remember this little device, the scalar digitizer. So you're going to plug in a BNC cable, and you want to plug that into generator 1, out 1. So this, as you can see here, it says out 1, and you want to plug that into this part here. So again, just to show it here, I don't know if you can see this, but there's G1, out 1, and out 2. So you want to plug it into out 1. And the same for the other generator. So when you plug in this first cable, you go to the other one, the generator 2 or G2, and you plug the other BNC cord into G2 out 1. So you always use out 1. And then you plug that into this plug-in here where it says BNC. So you should have 2 BNC cords connected to the generator. Keep the generator as far as possible. It should be about 1 meter is fine. The cables, depends which ones you have, can be longer or less long. But so 1 meter should be fine, and keep it outside of the scalar field. And then you just plug in the power supply for the generator. And then you plug in the USB cord and plug that into the computer. Now you obviously also need a computer to run a biofeedback scan. And so yeah, this cable you plug in into a BNC, into a USB port of a computer, and then you turn the machine on. You turn the generator X on, and something like this should show. Oh, that went fast. Let me go back. So something, yeah. So you should see these two with some numbers in there. This looks perfect. So then it's connected to the computer. And then you turn on the scalar. So there's a little knob where it says on off. And then on top to the left, you have a little screen and a little knob. Now it should say 8 Hertz, as you can see here. You want to turn it down. It's gonna be around 5.5-ish. It can be a little bit lower or higher, depends. You see this little red light here. Once that is lit, the more, like if you can find the peak, that's where you want to keep it. If you keep going lower and lower with the frequency, the light will go off and then go on again. The second one it goes on, it's going to be electromagnetic frequency, so you don't want that. You want the scalar field, which is the first one time it like gets red or it lights on. And so you see here, it's the frequency 5.85. It can be a little bit lower, it can be higher. And so again, you see if you turn it down, you get like a peak and then it will go away. And then if you keep turning, it will go on again. That's too far. So you want to just keep it where it's the first one. And then there we go. So just again, double check the connections are correct. So make sure that obviously the scalar link cable is connected to the scalar digitizer and to both the devices, and then make sure that generator 1 out 1 is connected to the scalar digitizer port, that little thingy, and generator 2 out 1 is connected to the BNC port. Might sound like Chinese, I don't know, but so this is how you do it. And just do it 2-3 times and you will get there. So now I'm gonna do a live demonstration of the software. So I'll just have to connect it to my computer. And there's a little trick in case you don't know. So if you haven't seen this ever before, this is how the Spooky2 software looks. And so if you want to just make sure the connection is right with your device and the software, you can just click on utils and go on rescan device, and it rescans for devices. And if you have one connected, it should obviously show some generators. So as you can see, I got 2 generators, number 3 and 4. Now this might be a little confusing because I was talking about G1 and G2, and now I see 3 and 4. Depends on how the setting is. These numbers can go from 1 to 127 because we can put in 127 different generators. But I have 2 now, so that's at least correct. So one of them is 3 and one of them is 4. So now I have to figure out, is generator 1 or generator 2 3, or is vice versa, is it number 4? So in order to do that, I can just click override generator, and normally it should show it. Oh no, I probably have to load something. So let me just do this, and I gotta move it because I got that like control overload generator, and then I can click start or scan. Now, this is all not important. What I do here is just to make sure I know which one of the ports is which generator. So I'll just stop this again. But as you can see now, hopefully it says port 3 here. So generator 1 is port 3. So now I know, okay, generator 1, port 3. So generator 4 obviously is, or generator 2 is port 4. So now how do I set this up? I go to presets, and just to make sure you're in the very beginning of the presets, you click on this little house. The presets are like, well, presettings for what you want to do. So here you can choose from a whole range of things of what you want to do. Now we want to do a biofeedback scan. So we're going to click on biofeedback. Once you click there, there should normally be something else that pops up. If you click wrong, you can either go here to go a step back, or you can click on the house to go to the very beginning. So we click on biofeedback, and then here we're going to look which type of biofeedback we want to do. Now we want to do scalar digitizer. So we click on scalar digitizer. And then here you see we got 4 different presets. We will need 2. And for now, we're just going to do a normal biofeedback scan. So we need these 2. So as you can see, we have a master and we have a slave. Fortunately, they don't have any colors here. And so this is the important part. The slave is going to be generator 2, and the master is going to be generator 1. You could obviously set this up differently, but it just makes it confusing. So always go with generator 2 is the slave, generator 1 is the master. So we go to digitizer slave. You can click this down here. You see when it's which one is selected. Here you can read some more information, and then I have to move this again and click on important. This is maybe the most technical part. Click on settings, and here where it says output shadowing, you have to put in the number of first generator, so generator 1. But we don't put in 1 because that's the generator. We put in the port, which is number 3 in my case. If you have, for example, number 15 and 16, you have to figure out which number is generator 1. That will probably be 15. So you will put in 15 here. The idea is to tell the generator 2 which port it is, so that generator 2 has to know which generator is used. And then I click on override generator, and I click on 4. So now we just make sure to double check we have generator 4, which is, or I should say port 4, which is our generator 2 on the machine, which is our slave, and the slave has output shadowing set to 3. I hope that's clear so far. And then we just click on the master. And now we obviously have to tell the other generator that he's the master. So this one should be set to digitizer master, as you can see here. And yeah, just, maybe double check and see, okay, here I got the slave, that's good. And here I got the master. And so this is basically done. Yeah. What happens is, so you have one part of the generator that just runs the frequencies. So generator 4 just starts with the frequencies. It goes from, depending what you put in here, it goes from, in this case now it's 500 hertz to 50,000 hertz, and it will just run up. And the first generator, the master, will detect where does it get a hit. So let's say there's frequency 2015 that get a hit. So it will detect it. So that's why you need 2 generators. One is to just run the whole frequencies, and the other one is to measure it, what happens. So Just as a little additional here, you can set in the frequencies. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to finish? The steps. And so obviously, if I would say, okay, the step is going to be 0.01, normally the time here should change quite. Oh, wait, I have to take this down. The time will change. So if you can see, if I do this, it will take me 30 hours. Now, I don't know who's going to sleep that long, but you could do this, or you can set it to 1 hertz, and you see that would take 3 hours. You could also change these frequencies, obviously, or you can just leave it as default, that it does like 0.025% of steps, which will take around 1 hour. Maybe important for you, if you don't have a friend or a spouse or your son or something that want to help you with setting this up, you can set here the steps that it takes until the scan starts. So if you want to delay the start, let's say, put it to 3,000, it will count from 3,000 to 0 until the scan starts. So you have some time to, prepare yourself and get in bed and, take some deep breaths and meditate and get calm and make the scan as good as possible. Once that is done, you just click on scan, and the scan should start. So it's now loading the frequencies or the setup into the generators, and there we go. Now you can see here it does a countdown. We're not going to wait the whole countdown, but so once it's at 0, it will start doing a scan, and by that time you should have yourself or whatever you're doing a scan of in the scalar field. Perfect. So now I got to turn this off. And so this is the setup with the software. I hope that was clear. So I can click that away and move myself out of the way here and go back to presentation. Yeah, so we did the live demonstration, and again, just making a little recap here. Make sure that the number of the port of generator 1, in our case it was 3, is set correctly within the settings of generator 2. So I have to make sure to put that into the settings. And again, this number can vary, so it can be 15 or 12 or whatever. Just as a remember, this is to make sure you tell the machine, which machine is scanning, which machine is sending the frequencies. Double check that the presets are set correctly. So generator 1 should be set to Spooky2 Scalar digitizer master, and generator 2 should be set to the slave. And you just run the biofeedback scan by clicking on scan within the control tab of generator 1. It's not generator 2, it's inside of the control tab of generator 1. So I'm going to do a little recap here. So you connect with the scalar cable into the scalar digitizer, or you connect the scalar devices with each other with those cables. And then you connect the Spooky2 generator X to the scalar field with the 2 B and C cables. Then you connect the, or generator 1 out 1 again goes into the scalar digitizer, that little device, and generator 2 out 1 goes into the scalar transmitter, or directly into the box. Then connect the machines obviously to power sources and tune the scalar to the right frequency. To the setup, you have to assign the Spooky2 Scalar slave to the generator 2. And then inside of the settings of generator 2, you have to set the correct number of the generator 1. Go to control, click override generator, and click on generator 2, or the port of the generator 2. And then go again into the presets, assign the Spooky2 Scalar digitizer master preset to the port of the assigned generator 1, click on control, and there click on override generator, click on generator 1, which in our case was number 3, and then set the settings, the time you want and the steps of the frequencies, and click scan. and then you can just wait. And so what will happen, maybe I should show this also real quick. If you haven't done a scan yet, after the scan is done, and I'll just pick a random biofeedback scan that we have done previously, it will show you something like this. Now, these are just the hits, the frequencies that it got. So there was something with 70,585,000 hertz, something with 44,703 hertz, etc. And so you can, here you can click the tolerance. So let's say the tolerance is like, okay, this is the amount of percent that it goes above and below the frequency that it found to go look for whatever that could be. So we have, for example, the 70,585,000 hertz, and now it will go and look, okay, a little bit above and a little bit below. Obviously, if I put this to like 10%, it wouldn't make much sense because it will pick so many things, because it will have such a wide range around that frequency to look for. So you want to keep that as a default. I would just always go and look and just click on go for whatever it shows up. If there isn't anything, you can dig a little deeper and you can just increase the tolerance to get an idea what it could be. Now, again, this is not a doctor. This is just software that picks up frequencies and then throws at you whatever that could be. So when I click on go, it goes into the whole database and looks for frequencies around 70,585 hertz, for example, and then, you know, it gets assigned to diabetes type 2 or something like that. Doesn't mean the person has it. It's just that's what it picks up. I just leave that like that. Okay, so I can close this and go back to my presentation. And so yeah, we had this. And so yeah, that's basically how you set it up with the scalar machine. So now I'm going to just go real quick, 2 minutes to what we do with these machines. So again, I've been working here now for 4 years, and we set up clinics. And here's just a little random snippet from last year during the pandemic. We got stuck at the beach and we couldn't move. And so we just started to do clinics because the people wouldn't move. They were scared. And they would just come for checks if they had a problem, or if there was something, they would come to us because there's no hospital. So we became like a very improvised clinic. And because we didn't have much more but those machines, it became a bioelectric clinic. So yeah, here's a little random snippet. Good day. Today is Wednesday, the 6th of May, and it has been raining just a tad last night. And because it has been raining, everybody in town is looking for some crabs crubbling around in town. So there's, as you can see, about 10 people. It's mainly the people that are A, really sick, or B, like Walter, just had an accident and can't really walk too far in order to find crabs. Everybody else in town is probably hunting for crabs right now. So we enjoy the day because it's not too crazy. There's only about 10 people, as you can see. So yeah, this was a slow day, only 10 people, but so you can see the view. It wasn't a bad place to be stuck in the pandemic, to be honest. Could have been way worse. But so yeah, that was basically our work every day. We had it set up there, and we would run the clinics. We had some problems with the machines because of all the salty air that came in. So some of our computers crashed, and oh God, no, I started again. So that was a bit of an issue. And here is another random little snippet from one of the people that we diagnosed, and then you see 2 people that getting a treatment. So the person here is getting a diagnosis, and these 2 are getting a treatment. So what we would do is we will combine the Spooky2 as a diagnostic option, and then look what it would show up. And So he's a doctor, so he would obviously have the know-how, and then we would just like analyze and see if they respond to the diagnosis. So if it would show up candida, we would look at the tongue, ask if they're like tired a lot, stuff like that. So that's how we did the clinics, and we had some pretty amazing results. So yeah, that's what we do as the oneQclub. Just a little thing or a little idea of what we did. We had a clinic in Comalapa, which is one of the places here in Guatemala, where we had about 30 to 60 people a day for around 30 days. We would live with indigenous people, so there was no shower, there was a little bit of electricity, there was no hot water, and in good days there was running water. So it was pretty amazing. Like the woman that took care of us, she would get up at 5 in the morning to grab wood, to put it on the stove, to make a fire, to put water on that she would go and grab, so that when we would get up at 7, that we would have a hot cup of coffee. That's how people, like a good majority of people, live here. Very, very hard life. And but probably the two most amazing stories is, I know it says healed. I don't claim that we healed them, but there was a young girl, 2.5 years, that was born and had a stroke. And during her whole life, she couldn't walk. And so they came to us in the hope of like, let's see what we can do. And we put her on the Spooky machine for 45 minutes and a magnet pulse. And because the mother is very Catholic, she will be praying. And the kid was like, like al dente pasta. It wouldn't move. It was just like. And 2 days later, they came back and they were all crying and said the girl walked for the first time this morning. And so they would show us, and the girl would walk the first time without any help, which was just amazing. I mean, this girl didn't walk her whole life and did the first time after a Spooky2 treatment. The other woman was a 86-year-old lady that was in bed for 6.5 years. She had a stroke and her whole left side went numb. And this is a whole other story. We were working for about 12 hours and I was super tired. And we would, like, after the whole clinic, we would walk through town and go into a place because a friend of the one that set up the clinic was her that had the stroke. And so she was like begging and begging if we could maybe take care of her. So we walked there and we set up the Spooky machine and everything, run the frequencies. And after 40 minutes, I realized that I didn't plug in the USB port. So the frequencies were just like running, and she was holding the bars, but nothing happened, obviously, because I didn't plug it in correctly. And I was just too tired. So I was like, I looked at the doctor. I was like, I forgot to plug it in. What do we do? And he just said like, well, let's just run some universal numbers, 15 minutes, because it was very late. And so she did hold it for 15 more minutes and instantly felt like as if there's like ants all over her left side, which was amazing. And so we would just keep going every day for about a month. And after a month up and down and her arm, she could lift it again. And now with a chair, she's able to walk. So it's just something that, like, it's a miracle, I guess. I think it's just amazing. Like for me personally, all it counts is that they get better. And another person that had dementia improved. We treated her every day with the cold laser into the nose to stimulate the brain. And nothing really happened for about a month. So she would still get out in the morning at 4 o'clock and forget where she would live and be lost in town, and they would have to go find her. And but so we came back, and then after 3 months, we got a call that she doesn't leave anymore. And when she leaves to go get groceries or something, well, she doesn't leave in the middle of the night anymore. But when she does, it's in the day, and she remembers how to get back. She also started remembering names, and yeah, so I just leave it at that. And another case, a 17-year-old girl had epilepsy, and we treated her with magnesium, so like supplements, and also with Spooky2 frequencies. And she said, like, after the first day, she didn't have seizures anymore. She could sleep. And I'm still in contact with her through email, and she's better. So that's just another story. Clinics in Quiche, that was another place where we had about 50 to 70 people a day. A lot of people. It was 10 days, and we were absolutely tired after 10 days. But there was a lot of people that would like come from the mountains. They would walk 5 hours to get to the clinic because they didn't have the 50 cents to pay for a bus. And these were like women in their 80s with their kids that came. So, and then there's a clinic in Monte Rico that we did at the beach. That was 10 to 60 people a day for about 8 months, which was very, very tiring. Saved a lot of people from heart attacks. Yeah, I can say it like that. We didn't cure people from diabetes, but people got rid of diabetes, and they even had like ways that like they had to amputate their legs, they thought. And so we treated them with supplements and frequencies and magnetic pulses, and the ulcers would close and they would not be diabetic anymore. And a lot of people had gastric problems, gastritis, bacteria, and there's some very effective ways to help with that. I'll just put it like that. And there was nobody at the whole beach that died from coronavirus. I don't say that's because of us. I don't think so, but more because the people would be in the sun, walk around and take care, have healthy food and have movement. So yeah, if you want to go check out a little bit more of our work, there's a website called the oneQclub.com. And there's also a YouTube channel. So I'll just show you, this is the channel. And there's some videos about the clinics that we did, for example, in Quiche. Yeah. So here's like people that we would just set up with the machines, and there would be a bunch of people waiting and waiting for 6-7 hours. And this is their native language, by the way. I don't know if you can hear, but you can check that out yourself if you want to. So let's go to the Q&A, because I've been talking for quite some while. So yeah, if you have any question right now about anything, put it in the Q&A and I'll try to answer it as good as possible. So let's start with Cindy. When you use supplements with Scalar, do they need to be thrown away after, or do the same supplements work over and over? We have been using the same for quite a while. Honestly, I don't know if they have to be thrown away. I don't think they lose anything of their healing capabilities, but so what happens with pills or liquids, they might get rancid, they might fall apart, so you might have to clean that and change after a while. So yeah, I hope that's about what I can say to this. Next question, also Cindy. What if I have metal screws and pins in me? Shouldn't be a problem. Obviously, if you do feel uncomfortable or if you do feel any problems with it, you probably should stop. But normally metal implants are not a problem. A problem might be just for security reasons if you're pregnant or if you have a pacemaker. You should be very careful or not use it, let's put it that way. But with metal screws, there shouldn't be a problem with any metal implants. And another one from Cindy. Where can I watch this again? My husband missed the first 30 minutes. Maybe ask Spooky2 directly. I think they will upload it. Maybe it's going to be on YouTube. I recorded it, so it's going to be somewhere in the interweb. You'll find it. Maybe send your email address, then I can send it to you once I'll find it myself. Darlene, I'm very sensitive to cell phone radiation. If a person lives in a house with cell phones being used within the scalar field, what happens to the EMF? Does the scalar field mitigate the damaging effects of the cell phone's radiation? Some folks said that they feel worse when they are in the scalar field and stop feeling bad when they stop it. Some say that the scalar field makes the cell phone radiation coherent so that it does not damage the body. I would like to know what testing shows. Thank you. Didn't do any testing on that. I know that people were in the scalar field with the phone. They haven't had any side effects. So normally the scalar field just takes it in, like whatever the information is. It should be just beneficial, but double check also with maybe the Spooky2 team on that one. If you do feel worse, it could also be that you just have a side effect from detoxing. It depends, you know, if you run frequencies for candida or for tapeworms, that can normally cause an effect because you kill off bacteria or parasites. So you can have a side effect on that. If you feel bad about it, I would just turn off, like put the phone as far away as possible. That's a good idea in general every now and then, and just try to turn off any electrical devices, or look which space in your house is the one with the least electromagnetic frequencies. Yeah. If you are super sensitive, by the way, maybe look into the research of Wilhelm Reich. He was a very interesting human being. Okay, next question. Those plastic handheld things don't seem to be available on the website. Are they no longer? I think they took them off. Yes, I haven't seen them. We bought those about a year and a half or 2 years ago. So they changed them to the metal ones, which are just as fine. It's basically the rubber just is now plastic. If you are really, really sensitive again to frequencies, you might want to look into presets that lower the frequency so it's not too strong, because the metal ones, they tend to be a little bit stronger than the rubber ones. Yeah, but I don't think they're available any longer anymore. Debbie, how long does the structured water last? Could you run a program for a friend and have them drink it without using the scalar? Definitely. Especially if they're very critical and you still want to help them a little bit. Just don't tell them and give them a bottle of water and say like, oh, it's just water. But you can definitely run some frequencies and structure the water and give it to them. You want to keep it away from EMF just to be sure. You can wrap it around, you can wrap aluminium around it if you want. How long does it last? There hasn't been really too much research on that. It lasts quite a while for sure. It depends, I think, if it gets in touch with other frequencies. The thing is, like water, so there's in the water molecule, it creates a certain, it's like a ring, and inside there's a space where it can hold, they don't really know yet exactly how it works, but it holds information. So once it's in there, and the longer you run it, the stronger it's printed, the longer it will hold. So that's how it happens. It just, the information gets into the water, and so it should last for quite a while. But obviously, if you're not sure, I would just put it on again. Can the programs program the software to name the generators in the software as 1 and 2 for the first GX connector and 3 and 4 for the next generator? I think yes. I haven't done that myself. I'm sure there is a way, and it would make it simple, yes. Unless, of course, you like mix the generators and then you don't remember which one is which. But if you have just one, you know, it's always the same numbers for the same generator. So it only gets confusing if you have 4, 5, or more generators. The numbers, I don't know how it picks the number. I don't think it is random, but I guess there is a setting. Maybe ask also the team for that, or the questions. I have metal implants in my back and shoulder and have had no problems. Cool. Thank you, Debbie. That's cool to know. Generator X displays should show which port numbers are assigned to G1 and G2. Yes, once they're linked, yes. Can we use powder of superfood to be imprinted for a cancer patient I can't eat? Yeah, definitely. Probably super good idea. So the more you put on, the less strong every supplement gets into the field. So maybe pick 2, 3 that are really, really good. But yeah, there is definitely ways you can just put superfoods on and put that into the scalar field, and then even put a water bottle on the other side and then give him that to drink. That's a double effect. Dingy's email, thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have to structure the water every time we start with imprinting? I don't know. Probably a good idea. Structuring the water makes it more, I think it just like makes the molecules smaller. Well, water is still it's like one of these things that I don't think we really fully understand. But I would probably, if you have to possibility to structure it, yes, because I think it just has more capability to take in information. I don't know if structuring the water also, well, it depends how you do it. There's ways that you can run it through a device with minerals in it, so it gets all the information of minerals. Yeah, but so try. I would say it's a good idea. I don't think you have to though. I'm not sure if my question went through. What frequency would you use for someone with severe rheumatoid arthritis, 70 years old, diagnosed at 60, very crippled hands and feet? Any other suggestions? Yeah, arthritis. So there's a lot of programs for arthritis. I think it depends on what type. I myself, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know too much about all the different types of arthritis, but I do know the scalar field helps. So I have a friend of mine who sleeps in it every night with arthritis, and it does help, just like easing the pain and sleeping. It's obviously important to drink some water because it's an inflammatory disease, right? So you want to just make sure that the inflammation goes down. I don't know if you tried infrared light. That might be another one. For frequencies in general, there's a program called Deafness, like DEAF and ESS. Number 2, it's like 32 minutes, and that has a bunch of frequencies that are in most other programs. We call them universal frequencies, and they have a very healing effect on most people. But what I would do, like try out, is the scalar field run arthritis or the deafness program, and maybe look for like some, there's like ginger in there. There is frequencies for, I think curcumin too, and maybe joint, like pain in the bones, joint pain, and kind of like test it, because like you don't want to, or it depends like how she reacts. She might have an effect of detox and then feel worse. That does make sense. It can happen. But yeah, try some things out. I don't know if anybody else has maybe a suggestion on that specifically. That would be very cool. There's also a forum you could maybe ask, and maybe somebody else can give you more detailed information. Yes. So if there's no other question, I think I answered them all. Tried. Thank you very much for everybody for being here. Thank you. There's a question. Metal. I have metal legs on my chairs with the scalar sit on. Is this a problem? It's not a problem. It might just affect the scalar field a little bit. You probably want to change that if possible. Shouldn't be a problem. Those plastic handfold things don't seem to be available on the website. Oh, I've seen that. Can the programs? I've seen that one. What does output shadowing mean? Output shadowing. I don't know. As far as I understand it, the generator 2 just runs the frequencies and tells which generator to. No, I don't know. I'll just put it like this. I don't know. So that's a question that might have needs an answer from the Spooky2 team. This one I've seen. Yeah, sorry for the sound. I hope that was still okay. Is the scalar confirmation light on the receiver box supposed to stay on when it's tuned to EMF field after passing? Is the scalar light on the receiver box supposed to stay on when it's tuned to EMF? I don't know. I would just not even use the EMF field. I would just leave it at the first peak. Don't know if it's supposed to stay on, but I guess yes, because it's indicating a certain frequency or energy that's being measured. When you use the phone with scalar for distance work, how did you put the receiver or the transmitter coil? See, like I always confuse this. It's the one where you put on the water. It's not the one where you put on the supplements. So I think, yeah, it's a transmitter. So you put it on a transmitter coil. Exactly. All right. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. And PR Moreno for your kind words. And well, I think this is it. Yeah. So I hope that was clear with the phones. Put it on the transmitter and try. Just oh yeah, I want to maybe say this. It might fry your phone a little bit. Like we realized it gets really hot, and after that, charging the battery wasn't working as properly anymore. But it was for emergency, so we're happy we fried a phone to help two people. Can we get your email address, Sebastian? We're thinking of buying a machine. Yes, it's oneQclub@gmail.com. So for any questions or anything, just maybe text me. How can I? I'll put it in the chat. What gives a better scan? Thank you, Greg, for your nice words. What gives a better scan, the scalar or the generator X? Oof. So I've done more, definitely more scans with the generator X. I've probably done thousands. They are good. I really enjoy doing the scan with like, so it's just out of ease. We just put the bars in the hands and run it, because putting on sticky pads or putting them in a scalar field and having 1 hour for a scan, it's just not in our capability. However, I did really enjoy the scans I did with the scalar. I found very, very accurate. With the generator X, it is very accurate. It depends which scan you do, because you can do a quick one, which is 7 minutes, and you can do another one that takes like an hour or two. It really depends. The fast one obviously is not as specific because it just runs through the frequencies way faster. It looks like you used hand cylinders in your clinics. Do you use them for the biofeedback scans in contact mode? Yes, exactly. But because we use them so often, the lines got like, some of them broke, because there were some people with crutches and they would walk over the line and then it would like be torn out because we had like so much going on. So we did use them. We don't use them anymore because we're not sure if the lines are still properly working. But we now use the normal metal cylinder bars. Yes, and again, if you have any further question or you want to know more about the work, just oneQclub@gmail.com for a question, or just follow us on YouTube, or go to the website. And I think that's all. All right, thank you very much, everybody. I'm gonna close this if I know how to. And oh, there's one more. Thank you, Darlene and PR. Thank you. Yes, it was fun. So yeah. Oh, and if anybody of you is French or German and has issues with English or Swiss German or Dutch, just let me know. I try my best with those languages. Perfect. All right. So I wish you a wonderful day, night, morning, whatever it is, and see you guys around. Bye bye.